Mrs. Honeybee. Today, in the Honeybee Neighborhood, we'll be enjoying the great outdoors.
I've got a Frisbee, Harold's favorite chew toys, a cooler full of snacks, and this big umbrella just in case it rains.
I don't think it's supposed to rain today, my dear.
But you never know when clouds might pass overhead, so it's better to be prepared.
I'm ready for anything, Mr. Honeybee. See? I've got an umbrella hat. How do I look?
You look great, Melodybee. And even more importantly, you look prepared. Because you never know what might come falling from the sky.
All you have to do is close your eyes, get cozy, and listen to the sound of my voice. Mrs. Honeybee will be your guide. Let's begin. You are here, just about to turn the corner to arrive at our house. It's a cool day today, and the clouds are out and puffy, so you brought your umbrella just in case. When you're a couple houses away, the clouds look especially puffy, thick, as if they weren't made of water. You look up to the sky and see the first few bright blue drops begin to fall. You quickly put your hood up and open your umbrella to shield yourself from the bigger than usual raindrops. As you walk up our driveway, you notice something different about these raindrops. Instead of falling to the ground and melting into their very own tiny puddles, these drops bounce. We hear the strange sound hitting the roof and run outside well before you get to the door to knock, thinking that we'd find a hailstorm outside. Oh, my little honeybee, come in from the hail.
Come up to the porch, my little honeybee. How on earth is it hailing like this? It's not even winter.
I don't think that's hail.
You realized that something about these drops were not typical, but you haven't yet put your finger on it or the drops. Whereas you, Mr. Honeybee, and I hang back on the porch to observe the strange happening for a little while longer, Melodybee darts out into the strange, following the bounce of the peculiar drops, and twirls around in it as if it was a delightfully normal summer rain.
All rain is good rain.
For full dramatic flair, Melodybee looks her head to the sky and opens her mouth wide to catch the drops herself, just like she does the rain. She pauses for a moment to chew, and then for a moment longer, because whatever she's chewing on is incredibly chewy. Then she pauses, with an analytical expression on her face.
It's raining gummies.
Gummies? How is it raining gummies?
I don't know. But it is. Look at all these. Some of them are even blue.
Harold is just as mesmerized by the raining gummies but instead of eating them, he chases them as they bounce, leaping down the driveway and along the sidewalk.
These can't be gummies, can they? And here I'm thinking that hail was out of the ordinary.
Here in the Honeybee Neighborhood, my dear, you just never know.
Roger, set up the beakers and the Bunsen burners. We have an experiment on our hands.
Roger that, Mr. Honeybee.
While Melodybee is focused on tasting each and every color gummy that falls from the sky, Harold is chasing them and tracking down the ever-elusive pink gummy for Melodybee to try, and Mr. Honeybee enters the fold, dutifully collecting randomized samples in little glass containers. Standing at the front door, we look at each other, then back at them, and smile to ourselves, knowing that adventure is always at our doorstep. Isn't it, my little honeybee?
Okay, I've got enough random samples. Roger Robot and I will test these in the garage. I'll let you know what we find.
Looking forward to it, Mr. Honeybee. Mr. Honeybee disappears into the garage without so much as hearing my reply. Wanting to find some middle ground between Melodybee's voracious appetite for raining gummies and Mr. Honeybee's careful scientific observation, we step out into the heavy gummy rain, both huddled under your umbrella. Harold runs past us furiously, chasing down an extra large purple gummy that has bounced over 31 times since falling from the strange clouds overhead. Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose. Feel the coolness of the air coming in through your nose and the anticipation growing in your chest. Then slowly breathe all the way out through your mouth and reach out your hand with mine to try to catch our own gummies. They're just as bouncy as they look, and one right after another bounces softly off our upturned palms. It takes a little maneuvering, but we finally grab hold of 2 gummies each. They're small in our hands and very brightly colored. They're squishy, as expected, but the fact that they're just as we would expect gummies to be makes it even more strange that they're falling from the sky. In the middle of our shared contemplation of this strange circumstance we find ourselves in, Melodybee makes her feelings known.
Oh no. I don't feel good.
Melodybee doubles over, holding her belly, which is likely filled to the brim with gummies, all color coordinated, of course. We yell out for Mr. Honeybee, who must not be able to hear us from the garage. Like the good friend you are, you stay with Melodybee to make sure she's okay, while I run to get Mr. Honeybee to see what he's learned about the gummies. Melodybee sprawls out in the grass, flattened out with her head resting ever so pleasantly on a small mound of dandelions.
Little Honeybee, is that you? All I can see are gummies. And more gummies. Oh.
You look back to the garage, waiting for one of us to come out. Just before you yell out to us, Roger Robot wheels out with a familiar authority. Mr. Honeybee and I following closely behind.
Melodybee, get up. You need to hear this. Everyone, gather round. Gather round. Melodybee. Oh, Earth to Melodybee.
Melodybee's here. Please turn down his volume, someone. It's so sleepy out here today. Oh.
What did you find, Roger? Mr. Honeybee? Do we need to take Melodybee to the doctor?
Yes, we might need to.
Really?
What did you find?
With all the drama she can muster, Melodybee sits up in the grass and exclaims,
Am I a goner? I'm on my last leg, little honeybee. Oh.
Roger? What is it? Is she gonna be okay?
What did you find in the gummies?
Oh, nothing. They have identical composition to the gummies Mrs. Honeybee and Melodybee made last week. They're regular old gummies, just from the clouds.
Then what's wrong with her?
She ate too many gummies. Hello?
Just like last time.
The gummies got the best of me again. Oh, why are they so delicious?
Let me try one of those. How do you eat those? So sweet.
How dare you speak that way about honey sweet things?
I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Knowing that the gummies are indeed just that, you, Mr. Honeybee, and I grab a handful for ourselves. We assume Melodybee, who is still laying flattened out on the grass, does not want any more gummies. As Mr. Honeybee chews and chews, I see that look in his eyes, the one that tells me he has an idea brewing. Before the look takes over and sends him on a mission, he pauses.
How can gummies just rain down from the clouds? There must be gummy clouds, right?
Do you still have the Doppler radar system we built when you wanted it to be a...
Let's not talk about it, Roger Robot.
When you wanted to be a what, Mr. Honeybee?
Suddenly, healed of her woes, Melodybee sits up on her elbows with a little grin, knowing that this is probably going to make her giggle.
Oh, nothing. And to answer your question, Roger, yes, I do. That's a great...
Mr. Honeybee wanted to be a storm chaser.
Oh, not seriously or anything.
It was a really cool idea, I'll admit. But that first strong wind where you lost your beloved hat, oof, that was hard to watch.
I loved that hat.
I'm sorry, my dear, but hey, you got a really cool weather gadget out of it, and I bet it's going to help us now, right?
It can. It uses radar to monitor precipitation or winds as they approach. It's how weather people tell us the weather.
There seems to be a grouping of gummies falling right over the house.
Let's go get the Doppler.
Roger that, Mr. Honeybee.
Together, Mr. Honeybee and Roger Robot fire up the Doppler radar system and immediately locate the anomalous cloud which is hanging right over the house for now. Since the winds are moving quickly, Roger Robot wheels into action. He centers himself below the cloud, and with a snap of his fingers, he reaches his arm up, and he keeps reaching and reaching and reaching until It gets all the way up to the cloud. He tries to pull it down with one hand, but it's stuck in its ways and stubbornly refuses to budge. Roger Robot extends his other arm up and muscles the whole cloud down. When it gets closer, we all reach up with him, trying to keep the cloud grounded long enough to inspect it. By now, Melodybee has digested some of the gummies and is back on her feet, ready to help.
Buzz, buzz, buzz.
We hold the cloud still and realize that it itself is gummy. It's not a regular cloud. It's a gummy cloud, which makes perfect sense why gumdrops fall from it instead of raindrops. After a bit more inspection, some research, and some willpower to hold this cloud down on the ground for a moment longer, Mr. Honeybee makes sense of all of this.
This cloud gummified because I think it got to a really high altitude and thus cold. But then, as it collected more moisture on this particular dewy day, it dropped lower and lower toward the earth and thus heated up. I bet this cloud did this so much that the water molecules inside didn't know whether to be water in a liquid state or water in a gaseous state. Because the cloud couldn't make up its mind, the water inside became gummy. In other words, a little bit of both.
With that, we all let go of the gum cloud to let it soar back up into the sky and rain gumdrops down on the rest of the Honeybee neighborhood. Before she lets go, though, Melodybee takes her one chance to take a big, chomping bite out of the biggest gummy she's ever seen and relishes each gummy chew before, once again, feeling sick.
Every time. Oh.
Always remember, Mrs. Honeybee believes in you. You are special and you are loved. I can't wait to see you again.